World War I story. Part 1 asterisk in the early years of the 20th century. Europe stood as a grand stage set for a tragedy no one could truly imagine. The summer sun shone upon bustling streets of Paris, the music-filled beer halls of Berlin, and the elegant cafes of Vienna. The continent was alive with innovation, the arts flourished, and a sense of optimism glimmered among the people. But beneath that shimmering surface, a dark storm was gathering strength, fueled by rivalries, ambitions, and ancient grudges that refused to fade. The people, wrapped in their dreams of progress and prosperity, danced on the edge of an abyss, unaware that they were about to plunge into a nightmare that would scar humanity forever. The spark that set the world ablaze came on a warm June day in 1914, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary visited Sarajevo with his wife, a young Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip, driven by a fervent desire to free Slovak people from Austro-Hungarian rule, stepped forward from the crowd and fired his pistol. The shots echoed through the city streets, and in those brief moments, history took a decisive turn. The assassination was the match that lit the fuse, but the powder keg had been ready for decades. Alliances, secret treaties, military pacts, all pulled the major powers into a tangled web of obligations. Austria-Hungary, enraged and supported by Germany, declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized to protect Serbia, and soon Germany declared war on Russia. France, bound to Russia, entered the fray, and when German armies marched through neutral Belgium to reach France, Britain declared war on Germany. The entire continent, and soon much of the world, was engulfed in flames. Young men left their villages, towns, and cities with a strange mixture of pride and excitement. Many believed the war would be over by Christmas. In every capital, they marched with flowers in their rifles and laughter in their voices, singing songs of glory and adventure. Mothers wept at the train stations, lovers promised to wait, and fathers tried to hide their fears behind brave smiles. But the reality awaiting them on the front lines was far from the romantic heroism they imagined. The Western Front, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border, turned into a vast landscape of mud, barbed wire, and death. Trenches snaked across the land like scars on the earth, filled with water, rats, and the stench of decay. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and the promised quick victory became an endless nightmare. Soldiers lived among lice, slept beside corpses, and endured shellfire that could reduce entire regiments to silence in minutes. Gas attacks brought a new horror, yellow-green clouds rolling across no man's land, burning lungs and blinding eyes. It was a new kind of war, mechanized and merciless, stripping away the last illusions of chivalry and honor. In the East, Russia's vast armies clashed with Germany and Austria-Hungary. Initial advances gave way to devastating defeats as Russian soldiers, poorly equipped and led, fell in droves that says empires strained under the weight of casualties and shortages. Back home, breadlines grew longer and discontent simmered dangerously. Meanwhile, on the seas, German U-boats prowled the Atlantic, sinking merchant ships and even civilian liners like the Lusitania. sparking outrage and shifting global opinion. The war spread beyond Europe too. Battles flared in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Colonies became battlegrounds, and soldiers from India, Africa, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand fought and died far from home, often for causes they barely understood. In the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers, opening fronts in Gallipoli and Mesopotamia. In the harsh deserts, Arab rebels, inspired by promises of independence and aided by figures like T.E. Lawrence, rose against Ottoman rule. Every region felt the tremors of this colossal conflict. As the years dragged on, the initial enthusiasm gave way to grim resignation. Letters home spoke of endless mud, missing friends, and the unbearable weight of loss. Christmas came and went, each year colder and lonelier than before. Occasionally, moments of humanity flickered through the darkness, like the famous Christmas truce of 1914, when enemies climbed from their trenches to exchange gifts, sing carols, and play football in no man's land. But such fragile peace could not survive the demands of generals and governments determined to push forward. On the home front, life was equally harsh. Women took on roles in factories and farms, keeping the nations alive while their fathers, brothers, and husbands fought. Children collected scrap metal and knit socks for soldiers. Propaganda posters urged citizens to buy war bonds and warned against spies lurking in every corner. Food was rationed, luxuries disappeared, and the ghost of hunger haunted many homes. In 1917, a seismic shift occurred. The Russian Empire, weakened by military defeats and internal chaos, erupted in revolution. The Tsar abdicated, and a new provisional government struggled to maintain order. Soon, Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized power, promising peace, land, and bread. Russia signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany, exiting the war but plunging into a brutal civil war of its own. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States, which had tried to remain neutral, finally entered the conflict. Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare, combined with the Zimmerman telegram promising Mexico U.S. territory in exchange for alliance, pushed President Woodrow Wilson to declare war in April 1917. Fresh American troops, resources, and morale arrived in Europe at a crucial moment, tipping the balance. By 1918, the Central Powers were crumbling. Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire surrendered. Austria-Hungary disintegrated under nationalist revolts, and in Germany, revolution broke out. The Kaiser abdicated and fled to the Netherlands, and a new republic was declared. Exhausted and unable to continue, Germany sought an armistice. At 11 a.m. on November 11, 1918, the guns finally fell silent.